Alright, now for this game's one and only Magnum, the 44 AE Lightning Hawk. This is clearly the same Lightning Hawk from Resident Evil 2 Remake and other games that featured it. However, you know, one interesting thing that a lot of people have been commenting on, they changed the type of ammo between Resident Evil 2 Remake and 3 Remake, even though it's the same weapon. In this game, it's using 44 rounds, while in the last game, I believe it was using like 50 rounds. So let's check it out. 8-round capacity, 44 AE mag. It's gas-operated action, which is unusual for a semi-auto handgun. Gives it both power and accuracy. Alright. So the location of the Lightning Hawk is located in the hospital courtyard. And only a section that Jill can access through this little crawl space. If you need reference where that is in the hospital, it's this area of the map, on the second floor. You hop through this window. And to your left, and here it is in this briefcase. The 44 AE Lightning Hawk.
Guaranteed to give you a headache.
What a perfect way to end that. One thing I should mention, if you play in Nightmare or Inferno mode, you'll actually find the Lightning Hawk in the subway station. They give it to you much earlier in this mode. And unlike its predecessor, there's only one custom part for the Lightning Hawk this time, and it's just the extended barrel, which of course will make it a 2-slotted weapon, and it will make it similar to that 10-inch Magnum from all those years ago in the original Resident Evil 2. And once again, I made use of the crafting companion, and I combined all of the high-grade gunpowders and stockpiled the Magnum ammo, and this is the most amount of Magnum ammo you can get in this game, which is 48 reserve ammo. So not a whole lot of Magnum ammo in the game, but this is a very powerful weapon, so it would be a little unfair if they gave you a ton of ammo. So yeah, let's examine the custom part, the extended barrel. Custom part for the Lightning Hawk, this bull barrel reduces recoil and imparts extra speed to bullets, increasing damage. Alright. So the location of the extended barrel for the Lightning Hawk is in the surveillance room of the underground storage, right after you find all 3 fuses and take the elevator up. It's in this briefcase behind the console. Here you go, extended barrel for the mag. Let's test out the Lightning Hawk first without its custom part. Nice close-up view here, all shiny. Alright, now let's go right ahead and attach its custom part and test it again. So here's the full beast, apparently. Yeah, I missed the scope it had in Resident Evil 2 Remake. Here you go. So the crosshairs do zone in faster. Not much else about it, though. I'm gonna test the Lightning Hawk on a Palehead. Okay, so I guess the Palehead was weaker than I thought it was, or the Magnum is stronger than I thought it was. I was totally expecting them to handle at least more than one shot, but no, they're all going down in a single shot. Oh. That one actually survived. Okay, so it could take 1 to 2 shots to defeat a Palehead with this thing. I'm still gonna test it on a different enemy instead after that. I'm gonna go ahead and test the Magnum on Hunter Gammas as well, to compare it to the shotgun. Alright, so it took 2 Magnum rounds to take down a Hunter Gamma. That's with its mouth open and its critical spot exposed. I think I'm gonna just shoot him with his mouth shut, and we're gonna see how many shots it takes that way. Alright, so with its mouth shut, and from a considerable distance, it took 4 Magnum rounds to defeat the Hunter Gamma. So that just goes to show you, when it comes to those creatures, you really should let him open his mouth, and then you'll get better shots off, get more damage. For all I know, it could have taken up to 10 shotgun shells if I never let him open his mouth. But yep, there you go. And now I'm going to finally test the Magnum with its custom part attach. We'll see if it makes any difference. Kind of doubtful about it, but let's find out. Okay, it only took 3 Magnum shots to defeat the Hunter Gamma with its mouth shut with the extended barrel attached to it. So that's awesome. Alright, now I'm going to perform the perfect dodge maneuver against a zombie and show my traditional explosive headshot. Headshot! Alright, that is gonna officially conclude the Lightning Hawk. Alright, so here's a special weapon. It's called the Rai-den, and I'm categorizing this in the same place as the magnums, because it acts pretty much just like a magnum for the most part. So that's where I'm putting it. So, it's described as an energy weapon developed by Umbrella based on airborne electrical phenomena. It possesses great stopping power, but only when targeting enemy weak points. So that's the major drawback to this weapon. It only works on their critical spots. And this is a store-bought weapon. It is worth 12,000 points. Alright, so here it is in game. Looking all nice. And it's like loaded with electricity and whatnot. So there's not a whole lot to testing it here. You can see the crosshairs are instant. Let's fire it. Has a very slow fire rate because it has to like recharge basically every time, as you can see from the gauge that's on the back of the weapon right there, and there is no reloading. So that's all it is when it comes to testing. So I'm gonna have a blast testing this weapon out. I'm gonna test this on a variety of enemies since it's pretty powerful. Alright, so yeah, clearly the Rai-den is designed specifically for the weak spots of all enemies. It's the only way to defeat them. Once you get that shot, though, it seems to just be a one-shotter on everything. So very powerful weapon indeed, just an insane drawback when it comes to where you have to aim. Alright, that's going to conclude the Rai-den, and pretty much will officially conclude all magnums. Alright, now we're moving into the explosive weapons, which will be the final category for this review, basically. And the first one is the MGL grenade launcher. What's funny is MGL stands for multi-grenade launcher, so it's really multi-grenade launcher, grenade launcher. So as you can see, I have a bunch of explosive rounds, and being a grenade launcher, they follow tradition, and they have multiple rounds that could be attached to this thing. Here I got a bunch of explosive rounds, and this right here is the most amount of explosive rounds you could possibly have. If you gather up all explosive A and explosive B gunpowders, that is. So if you combine explosive A with itself, it creates more explosive rounds. But this right here, 40 backup rounds. Alright, so let's check the grenade launcher out. Semi-auto grenade launcher prototype capable of firing many types of rounds. It takes a while to reload, but boasts strong damage output. Alright, and that's a nice looking grenade launcher indeed. So the location of the MGL grenade launcher is in the sewer office. Here it is on the map for reference. As soon as you walk in, it'll be on this shelf over here. So if you happen to miss the MGL grenade launcher at the sewer office, you have another chance to acquire it in the dilapidated shelter after, of course, the subway crashes with Jill and regain control of her. Here it is, right on top of this barrel. And unlike Resident Evil 2 Remake, the grenade launcher does not come with custom parts, so it is as is, but I will still be overviewing it a bit because of its multiple rounds. So we'll start with the explosive rounds. Let's test it out. So yeah, it really does take a while to reload, doesn't it? If I only spend one round and then reload it again, will it take way less time? Yes, it does. So it depends on the amount of rounds you expend, which will decide how long it takes to reload the entire thing. All right, now let's test out the grenade launcher with flame rounds. Real quick, as you can see, this right here is the most amount of flame rounds you could acquire using the crafting companion, and if you combine explosive gunpowders A and B together, it makes flame rounds. So this is the most right here, after stockpiling it all. 49 rounds back up. Here we go. All right, now let's try the grenade launcher with acid rounds, and real quick, this right here is the most amount of acid rounds you can get in the game. So you can tell they're incredibly scarce and can't get a lot, even with the crafting companion. But this is because this is a very powerful round in this game. So let's go ahead and test it out. Not a whole lot of impact. Youch. Alright, now for the final type of round to test the grenade launcher with, the mine rounds. Now, I'm assuming this is basically what's replacing the mine thrower from the original Resident Evil 3, judging from its name and how it acts. Regardless, though, I think this overall is a new type of round introduced in the series. Not sure, please mention it in the comments, but I'm pretty sure this is the first time mine rounds were a thing. Unless you count the rounds for the mine thrower in the original Resident Evil 3, and Resident Evil 4, of course. Anyway, let's test the mine rounds out. And if you notice, the crosshairs are actually different when using this type of round. Alright, so that's basically all I need to do to test it out. And yes, it does act exactly like a mine, similar to the mine thrower from the original. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where they were going with. And yeah, so let's see what happens if I'm right near the blast. Does nothing. So Jill is invulnerable to her own weapons. Unlike most modern Resident Evil games, if you get too close to an explosion, regardless if it's from your weapon, you get blown back and you take damage. Alright, so that's basically it for testing out the grenade launcher. So now I'm gonna actually test it on some enemies. I'm gonna test the rounds on a variety of enemies. Each round is better for specific enemies, kind of like how it is throughout the series. So that's what I'm gonna do. Alright, so when it comes to explosive and mines, I didn't have really good enemies to test it on, so I tested it on crowds, basically. But as you saw from the mine test, those pale heads weren't being damaged at all, really, by those things. So it makes me wonder if the mine rounds actually have a high damage rate. The zombie died, but the pale heads were not dying at all. The flame and acid rounds, I tested on what I consider the best enemies for those. Flame rounds are best against Hunter Gammas, and acid rounds are best against Hunter Betas, and maybe against Nemesis as well. But now I'm going to do more consistent testing. I'm going to choose one enemy to test all 4 rounds on, and I'm going to make that the Hunter Gamma. Alright, so 2 explosive rounds to take down a Hunter Gamma. Now, we already know it's only going to take 1 with the flame round, so I'm going to go ahead and skip that round. Let's test acid on Hunter Gamma. All right, that was interesting. For a second, I thought he wasn't suffering any damage whatsoever. I mean, these don't have a huge impact, so I guess it makes sense. But he did die after 3 douses of acid rounds. So yeah, not the best enemy to test this round on, and it probably would have been better if I let his mouth open, probably. But it's okay, it took only 3 rounds, not too bad. All right, let's see if mine rounds do anything to him. Alright, so it took 3 mine rounds to defeat a Hunter Gamma. So they do damage. I guess when I was testing them on Paleheads, like, those things have crazy armor or something, but not against magnums, obviously. Alright, so the mine rounds have about the same damage as explosive rounds. The mines are triggered by proximity, understandable enough, and that's why they're very useful against Nemesis in the clock tower battle, because when he's running rampant around in circles like that, you can just fire a mine somewhere and he'll eventually run into it. I think that's the main purpose of it. Alright guys, that's gonna officially conclude the MGL grenade launcher.
Let's do this. Stop it!
Now for the last explosive weapon, a timeless classic in the Resident Evil franchise, the Infinite Rocket Launcher. A recoilless rocket launcher that fires 84mm projectiles. The piercing power of the rocket causes more damage than the explosion. Alright. Now I won't be surprised if that's actually the same description from Resident Evil 2 Remake, as that is the same rocket launcher. Alright, here it is in game, and the Infinite Rocket Launcher can be bought from the in-game store for 62,400 points. It is the most expensive item you can buy from the store. That's kind of obvious, though, considering it's pretty much a god weapon once you have it. Alright, so let's go ahead and test this beast out. Alright, and it being infinite, there is no reload animation for it, so we're gonna do like we do in a lot of my weapon reviews when it comes to the rocket launcher. I'm just gonna test it on a plethora of enemies, so enjoy the slideshow. Now for the final weapon of this weapon review, the Finger, as it's called. And this is basically the rail cannon from the original game at the Nemesis final fight, but they heavily modified it, and Jill could actually hold it on her own, so check it out. This is an in-game weapon. I can't review it outside of this area, so I'm just going to have to do it here and there. Kind of like the linear launcher from Resident Evil Code Veronica. Alright, so here it is, so check it out. We're just gonna go ahead and straight enemy test it on the only enemy you can test it on, Nemesis himself in his final form.
Cooldown in progress. Please reactivate power sources.
Damn, it needs power.
And of course, in order to use it again, you have to put these 3 battery slots back in their spots, but you can't do that until you subdue Nemesis a little bit. So to do that...
Felt that, did you? How about some more?
There we go. Push these in. In standard mode, you can get at least 2 of these babies pushed back in before he recovers. I notice all the difficulty does is increase the movement speed of enemies.
Go ahead! I'm gonna put you right back Railgun your ass.
Whoa. There you go. So I didn't need the rocket launcher. Oh, that was bad on my part. But that's okay. I know this would be a slightly more epic if we had the music going, but for weapon reviews, I like to keep it silent. Alright, let's destroy this fucker.
You think I don't know how to fuck you up?
The thing is, could I aim this away from him and get away with it? No, I can't. Alright, and here's the final usage and the best cutscene for this weapon, by far.
Come on! Next time, take the fucking hit!
Woo! Alrighty. So, yep, that is the finger for you guys. It's so funny that it's called that.
Good riddance.
It's like giving Nemesis the finger, basically. Literally. In more ways than one. And those are the weapons of Resident Evil 3 Remake. I really hope you all have enjoyed this weapon review. I don't do these very often these days. It's pretty much every new game that comes out, or I'll do like an HD remaster of a game once I finish it in my series of full plays or something. But yeah, overall, I don't do these often, so it's always nice to go back and do these. For brand new games, it's really fun, of course, because it's never been done before, at least on my end, and it's always fun to overview weapons that we haven't seen before. My overall thoughts on this game, I like the gameplay, but of course, the plot does fall short quite a bit. The dodge mechanic does add a nice little touch to these weapons, so I was glad to incorporate that into this weapon review. Alright guys, so not much else to say. So to officially conclude, this is Shankster94, aka The Gamer Shankster. Rate, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shankster_94. Check out my Facebook page. Support me on Patreon. Shout out to Wyatt, also known as the one and only W, as well as Riddles11 for being my 2 patrons on Patreon. Alright guys, the next new weapon review will most likely be for Resident Evil 8 Village. So when it comes to weapon reviews, of course, look forward to that. Alright, peace out, you guys are the best.